like with everything that y'all just said, right? Do y'all think that means that men make better leaders than women do?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's the qualifications that make you a good leader.
Right.
I just feel like women bosses are more, I guess you would say, catty and strict because, again, they feel like they have something to prove. Like if you look at history, it back then you would never find a woman in a leadership position, and the only reason why we have women in leadership positions right now is because the perspective of the woman is being changed as time goes by. So of course you have to live, or you have to be the woman of today
Yeah.
to stay in that position. So,
Yeah.
But that's funny that you say that because I feel like and I don't mean to cut you short, Naja,
No,
but
you're
I feel like I don't know if the word is better because I still feel like there's still some attributes that like a woman can bring to the table that a man can utilize. Like I feel like women can generally be more understanding and be more like, you know, and assertive at the same time. Whereas like with men, generally speaking, like, you know, it'll just kind of be like one way with them or the highway, I guess you could say.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I'll chime in here on that real quick. I'm glad that you mentioned a couple of those words, Layla, generally, and in that sense. I mean, I'll set it off like this. I think generally, if we're talking about statistics, I dare Dr. Wilder brought in some numbers here earlier. If we're talking about statistics and pure numbers, generally, men most likely would make better leaders than women. And I'll say it plain and simple. Now, are there exceptions to the rule? Absolutely. Can there be women that can you find a woman and another man and say, hey, this woman leads better than this man? Absolutely, you can find those examples in this world. But I think if we're talking about pure numbers and if we're talking about the attributes that come with the leader. You know, some of us kind of mentioned it earlier about some of the things that we may not like about our bosses, some of the things that bosses do in some senses. But in some senses, the boss has to lay down the law sometimes. The boss is the person that you're not going to like, that has to make the tough decision, that has to be the person that, hey, this is what we're going to have to do. And you may not like it all the time, but that is what a leader and that is what a boss is, someone who can make those tough decisions in tough times. And
Mis-
what we have seen, I'll go. I'll let you go. What we have seen in both from a biblical standpoint, mostly from a biblical standpoint, is that men are typically attributed to be better leaders,
Now,
generally speaking.
I'm just gonna
Can
go
I
on the
say
limb to
one
say
thing?
that Mr.
Sorry.
Leviathan's views are not all focal points.
Oh yes, this is pure Mr. Leviathan right here.
Right.
Go ahead,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
1/5 to hold your point. Just 1/5.
Yeah,
Say it with your chest.
well, I just want to clear up. These numbers are not because men are better leaders. These numbers are because women are not giving opportunity to lead. The
But
same
you gotta
way.
understand, we're in a
Hold on,
male
hold on, hold on. Let her
dominated
go. Let her go.
society.
Hold
Hold
on.
your
Yeah.
point.
Hey,
We're
hold
your
your
point.
point. Hold your point real quick. Let her finish.
The same way a lot of black people, if we did this like a black and white or black and whatever, the statistics would be the same. Not because black people are not better at whatever, it's just because we weren't given those opportunities to be that. Now, as far as who's a better leader, men or women, honestly, I don't think that there's an answer to that. I think it depends on what we're talking about. I think it
Mhm.
depends where we're talking about. I think it, like you said,
That's a great
I
point.
think Keyshawn, I don't want to say your name wrong. Kayshana,
Kishana. Yeah, you're
Kishana,
good.
sorry. Yeah, I think she mentioned that it depends on the qualifications. So I think it's there's so many different factors that go into what makes a better leader. I don't think we can just say men yes, women no. I think it really just depends on the setting, the context, and etc.
So I want to ask y'all another question, and I want to take it to church, but before we get to church, like I want to
Take
ask y'all
me to
another question.
church.
Like, do y'all think? Well, how do you think the world leaders would view America with a female president? Like with everything that's going on in the Middle East, with Ukraine, with Russia, China, everything. Like if we, now had representation for our country as a woman president, like how do y'all think the world would view us? And
Listen,
why?
I don't know how true this is, but they're saying that there's certain countries that, you know, our vice president can't even step in because they don't respect her as a woman. So they send another ambassador and representative. So it's pretty sad. It's not just, you know, this whole the whole woman and men theory. It's not starting from it's it's actually culture in some countries, and it's sad. You know, women can't walk down the street unless their face is covered because it's their religion. You know, if they do, they get shot and they're considered, you know, all sorts of bad things and names. So it's just, you know, that's how I feel about it.
Fortunato, to answer your question, I think the world would look at us as sitting ducks. I think that if we had a female president, other countries are going to look at us and be like, oh, now's our chance. China's going to be like, okay, we've been building ourselves up all these years. Now's our chance. Now, whether that's right or wrong, that's a different discussion. But I'm just talking about the perception, because we already know the United States is not very well liked among other countries, but they don't really mess with us, right? Because of the might that we have, the strength of our military, and not that the strength of the military would change, but I think just the perception of having a woman in charge of everything. I think other countries, especially in the Middle East and the Far East, would look at us and think they're weaker. That's honestly, I think, how they would look at it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, DTH. Like we gotta take the emotion out of it. Like reality is reality. Like we're in a male dominated society, and this is not now. This is from years. This is from centuries. You know, I mean, to get out of that will probably be unnatural if you think about it. It doesn't make it right or wrong. That's just what it is.
Yeah, I agree too.
I think what is it? New Zealand. I was just looking up. New Zealand has a female president, and I think
come on now, Will.
I think they're the one. I think they did like the best in as far as the pandemic goes. I think they had like 3 cases.
Wow.
And they have a woman president. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is DTH of the Hold Your Point podcast crew. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content. And as always, we'll see you next time.